Hi, Constance.
Hi, Heidi.
So nice to see your face in person again.
I know, I've missed you.
We recorded 22 episodes in this lovely studio, and we are back today to start another round of beautiful women talking about what it's like to be 50, but we realize we never really took the time to tell you what we think fully about being 50 and 60.
Yeah, I also think so much has changed just in the 6 months from when we recorded our first episode of this show and coming back and now recording more, even in the difference of all the women that are waiting in line to come on the show based on our first round. Before it was like, come on, talk 50, tell us about 50. And everyone's like, okay. And I just like, that's so exciting. Like,
Started a revolution.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Welcome to Talk 50 to Me.
Talk 50 to me.
Let's do it again. So I will tell everybody that it was Constance's, that's a hard word to say plural, Constance's idea to do this podcast. She thought it would be fun for us to hang out since we didn't have a lot going on, and she hadn't worked for 2 years, I believe. She is a very accomplished actress. And the funny thing is the second we started the podcast, she booked 2 shows, which are now the #1 shows on television. And I wanted to ask you, like, what the fuck was that like at 55 to be, you know, just like everybody's darling?
It was wild because I spent so much time alone and in fear of never working again to then be given the gift of Lincoln Lawyer first, which was in Los Angeles, which was another gift. I didn't have to fly to work. And out of the blue, I had 2 jobs come at me and I had to pick one after Lincoln Lawyer. And I chose Love Story.
Thank God.
With not knowing really anything about it, just wanting to be a part of the Ryan Murphy verse and loving John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette from the 90s, being entranced by that whole relationship and getting to play a role that felt like what I really wanted to embrace, which was a woman that was my age.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like, oh, this is going to be so exciting. I get to wear a wig and I get to disappear into this character and remind people that I'm a character actor. Because I think that's what also aging in Hollywood. I remember Margot Martindale said, character actors are the only actors who are allowed to age in Hollywood. And that felt like such an insane comment. But she's so right. It's because
Can you explain
we're characters.
to people like what a character actor is as opposed to like a leading person? Some people don't understand.
Okay, well, character actor is basically somebody who, and I always use this word and I hate using this word, but it is someone who is allowed to go in and out of other characters, changing the way they look. So whether that's wigs, fat suits, different makeup, they aren't seen as the pretty leading lady. They are the cohort, the quirky best friend, the one that might not have the poster around them, but the one that is supporting all the people on the poster.
Do you think it's been easier for you to age on camera a little bit because you have that moniker?
I was hoping that would be the case, but that moniker got taken off of me at some point in my career, and I didn't like it. I didn't like looking like myself as a character. I've always liked hiding and being in disguise as a character. And so like Dana Gordon looked a little too much like me, and Quinn looked a little too much like me. And all of a sudden I was pushed out of that category. So Lincoln Lawyer and Love Story allowed me to dive right back in to remind people that I actually come from from that moniker, which is I've always wanted to be a character actor. I never actually wanted to be
the leading lady. It's funny because when I think of Quinn, I don't think she looks at all like you because her personality is so much not like yours. Like her insanity made her probably uglier than I would have thought.
Right.
She is like, you're so much softer and prettier. So you did still disappear into a character, in my humble opinion. Do you think that your thoughts about being in your 50s have changed from when we started the podcast till now, even just the 6 months?
Yeah, because I think when we started this podcast and you asked me what my one word was for 50, I said confronted. And I remember you looking at me
shocked. Like, what did I do? Confronted by what? Did I say something wrong?
Yeah. But that was very true about it because I did feel that everything was coming at me and I had to confront it. Now, I feel very comforted by my age. And did that come from being able to play two characters that I felt I really was able to put my experience and my wisdom and my age into? Yes. Do I believe that that could go away if I then don't work again for 2 years? Yes, all of it's possible. But I will say what I'm doing now more than ever, because my 50s have been filled with a lot of grief and a lot of being like hit over the head with a baseball bat from one day to the next. And the comfort that I'm finding is that I have no other choice but to exist in today and take today as it is, live in it now. And that to me is something that I've never been able to do until being in my 50s.
That's a gift.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if for you, if your word has changed about your 60s.
What was my word?
That's a really good question.
Joyful? Joyous? Maybe? I might have less joy than I had at 60. Now, I'm at this stage where I'm just like, what's next? Am I done? Should I be done? Do I have, like, not in a retiring sense, but I just feel like, and I'm sure it's very connected to financials for me. You know, if I was independently wealthy, I would just be like, I'm going to France for lunch today. Like, I would be done. But I think that there's more fear now as I'm getting older than I had at 60, that I have at 65, that is financially driven and a little bit of health driven, because I'm like, yeah, I feel great now, but I know 80, 90, whatever still has to come. And I don't like anything I've seen from other people's 80s, 90s, whatnots, you know?
Well,
and
right,
so I
but-
have a little bit more fear of aging than I did, which is kind of sad.
But remember, we are now setting the standard of what those ages are going to look like, right? We're already changing the standards of what 50s and 60s look like today compared to what it looked like 10 years ago. So we are going to be the new standard of what 80 looks like in 20 years, right?
Let's hope I keep my shit together.
Right. But when you say being done, what does that even mean for you? Like, what do you mean being done?
Like worrying about what I'm putting out into the world creatively. Like, as a creative person, you almost never stop thinking about doing. And I wonder, do I get to stop thinking about that at some time? Like, 65 used to be the age people retired in this country. I'm so far from retiring, not just financially, but I'm constantly thinking of new things that I want to do. And I guess I'm always torn between, is that my get married and have kids? My creativity, my life as a creative person, is that my get married and have kids and that's the occupying of my time that other people, you know what I mean? Like, am I focused on that because I don't have other things to focus on, like a husband and kids? Or, you know what I mean? Does that even make sense?
Yeah, I think it does, because it is true that like I can encapsulate my life as like the last 18 years is when I had my kid and when my kid's going to college.
You
That's
had
like
a full-time job.
right. But I think as creatives, you never stop creating, even when you're exhausted.
But do you stop worrying about, I have to create something? Like, when does that, like, when, you know what I mean? It's like that irrelevance that you feel in your 50s, like, oh, I got to get back in this game. And then you get back in this game and you're like, when do I get out of the game?
Yeah,
I think about that
I
a
always
lot.
like to be, I always would like to be considered a player. I
Yeah.
would just like to have the choice to play or not to play.
I like that. That works. So yeah, my word might be slightly less joyful.
Well,
Although
but then
I'm
give
pretty
me a
joyful
word.
all the time.
Then make a different word. If it's slightly less than that, then what is the word for now, for 65?
I'm in a current state of existing,
Okay. That's being in the now.
and that's kind of all I have. I am very much in the day to day. I can't go past that because it just gets depressing.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of the ways that I feel have to do with the fact that the world is on fire and I live in a constant state
Yes.
of mild depression because
That's
I'm
real.
online, and that is not fun.
Yeah. I think we all need to get off our phones.
Except
to
for
say it.
now, because we're going to talk about what was in our phones, because we asked people to ask us questions that they might want some answers to. And so why don't you go first?
Well, okay. I'm going to ask you a question that was sent in by a listener that I think is very much towards you. It is from your Queen V. Now says, in my 30s here, I'm at a weird crossroad with my style, wanting to downsize, but having trouble figuring out who I even am anymore when it comes to clothing. My body's starting to change along with my mindset. Any advice that doesn't involve completely starting over with my closet?
She's in her 30s.
I know.
30s. I think you have style changes at every decade of your life because you change, your body changes. You want to start trying new things, or you want to just be a basic girl. Like, it's always going to change. And I think the important thing is to wear whatever the fuck you want at every stage of the game. If you want to wear pantaloons at 30 and then only tight fitting dresses at 50, just do it. I think the secret to style and to getting dressed is look around at what other people are wearing. Does something that they're wearing spark a joy with you? Try and recreate your version of that. But take the equation of like, I'm 30, I'm 40, I'm 50 out of it, because none of that matters. You should always wear whatever makes you feel the most confident. And I don't know that your clothes have to say who you are overall. Like, maybe your clothes just say that day, I'm feeling frisky.
Right. I mean, I have 5 different personalities in my closet. And I'm like, who am I today? Am I this girl, this woman, this beach bum, this hobo, as my husband likes to sometimes
But that's
call
what
me?
I mean. Why are those words attached to your clothing? Today you're comfortable. Tomorrow you might feel fancier. Today, like, there's so much attached to these looks. Like, why are you dressed like a whore in that short skirt? Like, what? Who's assigning these things to our clothing and the meaning that they have for us? The only thing your clothing should be is whether you feel confident in it or not.
Right.
Those are the only descriptors that should be used.
You
for
should
your
walk out
clothing.
the door in what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Right.
Period. Full stop.
Yeah. Okay. I hope that answers the question.
Probably not, but fuck it.
Do you want to ask
I'm
one?
going to ask you one. Actually, by the way, at 50, I totally forgot how I wanted to dress and had to figure it out again. And I watched all the young girls on TikTok and ended up dressing like Billie Eilish at 65. And I'm here for that. This is a very particular one for you, Constance. No Yes Found asks, do you think women's roles on screen and cinema in general change people's minds and beauty standards about about women who are over 40. Why?
Why? Isn't it obvious? Yes, I think it's why this movement is so important to me, because I feel like we have a responsibility to have women in particular on screen that are representing relatable women in life, right? A lot of things that are on screen are exaggerated, are, overblown, and that's fine. That's what movies and entertainment is for. But then where are the women that other women can relate to, right? Like I've always said my characters, I'm never about making them likable because you can't please everybody. But I've always wanted them to be relatable, whatever that is, relatable to their pain, their grief, their love, their joy. But we need that also, those women to look like other women, right? And I think for me, like some of the biggest compliments, just like Love Story in particular, playing somebody who actually was a real person, and having people who knew her write to me and say that not only did I look like her, but people felt like even if they didn't know her, they could relate to her because she was so approachable and so and that to me is a relatable character. It's a relatable woman. There are so many women that have told me that character in particular has just spoken to them in so many different ways. From the way I looked specifically, we have to change that. And sadly, the only way to change that is for people to employ us.
Yeah.
Even when we haven't had work done and when we haven't made ourselves look like we're 20, but we're playing 60. And no harm, no foul to anybody that does do that.
But you don't look 20.
But I do think, it's hard. It's an uphill battle because we have to have the opportunities to show up.
Yeah. Even you talking about it's so interesting because nobody would describe Carolyn Bissett's mom as unlikable now. But if that character was around in the 90s and we were watching her back then, she would have been called a bitch for talking to the Kennedy family the way she did. And I find that so interesting that you get labeled as playing characters that are unlikable. But what's unlikable about Quinn? That she had a fucking opinion? That she was like, go fuck yourself. I'm more important than you, man. And what was unlikable about Dana? That she had fucking balls. Like, what's unlikable about your character in Lincoln Lawyer is that she fucking desperately wants to take someone down and lies about it. That I understand. But like so many of the characters that we say are unlikable or just like they're unlikable because they're not the typical, smile, make a cake lady characters that are out there. So I find that kind of.
Yeah, but look at too, these women are women in their 50s.
Yeah.
And they are women that are not afraid to speak their minds. And they've never been labeled as women who are embracing the power that comes with age.
No, they've been called difficult. They've never been called powerful.
Right. And that's what we have to change is like, if I am a 55-year-old woman portraying a 55-year-old woman, how do I have the power to speak so freely and unfiltered in front of people in a way that I've never been able to do before? Yeah. Oh, it's my age. It's my experience. It's my wisdom. And that is why we need more women over 50 on television, because that is how we're going to show what power comes with age.
Yeah, because it doesn't work the opposite with men. Like even as unlikable as John Hamm's character was in Mad Men, he was a dick. We loved him. And we don't have that same likability with women. And that would be great. If we could change the way that we portray women over 50, it would change so many things. I use this example all the time. It's like if Kim Kardashian could convince people that big butts are cool after years of heroin chic, I say we can do anything.
Okay, so I want to ask you this question because you have been really helping me with this. And this question comes from Jonna King K saying, how do we learn to give less shits, not to give zero shits, but to give the right amount of shits, like the amount that doesn't drain you, because she says that we're both badasses. And curious did it happen over time, or was it one particular moment when it clicked and you realized I'm not giving as many shits?
I think there's the point where you give less fucks, but then there's the point where you feel okay about it. Like, I never really gave a lot of fucks about what people thought about me, but there was a little bit of a layover if, people didn't like me, or I would still people please a little bit. But it was an absolute clickable moment for me when I turned 60. It was like all the fucks left the building, and I no longer cared what that looked like to other people. Like, I fully believed that I didn't need to give a shit about everybody, and I stopped caring what that meant to them. That's the other half of giving less fucks, is giving less fucks and being okay with it if people aren't okay with you.
Okay, but you didn't get that till 60.
60.
Right.
And I've been a loud, bad bitch since I was born. So I think that's why I try to teach people to give less fucks about everything earlier, and why I quote Glennon Doyle all the time and say that the only thing you should do in life is to disappoint as many people as possible to avoid disappointing yourself. That is a lesson that was really hard for me to learn. I think it's all tied together. People pleasing, giving fucks, worried about what other people think about you. And I just think you have to remember at the end of the day, no one's thinking about you.
Yeah, that to me is a lesson you told me a few years ago that has been very much echoing in my head a lot. Is I think so much about other people, and the reality is not many people are thinking about me.
Even when they are. I mean, it's
Right.
harder for you because you have to read shit people write about you. I mean, I guess I do have to read shit people write about me,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna
I'm
say,
lucky.
you read all the shit people write about
I
you.
do. Mostly people are really nice, except when I got a full body scan that just set everybody off, and I am a capitalist pig. And that's okay. I understand why they feel that way. That said, even when people are writing about you and saying Constance Zimmer just gave the worst portrayal she's ever done, you will hold on to that thought for 20 years. They never think about you again. So even when people are thinking about you, they're not invested in you. You have to be invested in you. You have to be invested in not listening or caring what other people think, because strangers' opinions don't matter. They just don't.
Well, I think, right, the opinion of ourselves is what matters the most. People will always judge us and have opinions, but it is when we look in the mirror, what we say to ourselves, that is really what gets us through our day. And you hold on to negative thoughts longer than you hold on to positive. So flipping the switch of holding on to the positive and letting the negative go is a big turnover when you get older. And for me, I think it's not that I give less shits. I am more specific about the shits I do care about, right? So like, it used to be like, it was very broad. Now it's very honed in. And that is a lot easier to say, write that one off, don't write this one off. And so I think for me, it's been, coming here into my mid 50s and navigating all of that information that I've learned over the years, and meeting you and you saying to me, like, you really have to stop, caring as much as you do about every single thing that one person says or another person or whatever. And yeah,
That's hard.
It's very hard. It's very hard.
But it's the one thing that I will say is such a waste of time.
Yeah.
The stress of that and the pain of all of that is just going to make you physically ill. And think about it that way. If you'd like to rid yourself of any physical illness, stop worrying about anything anybody else says about you and get rid of any kind of stress in your life. But it really, I think it's why I'm so passionate about the age 50 to 60, because I think that's when we figure all of that out. it's almost like every other thing in our life has been taken away from us. And we're finally back to just thinking about, who am I? Why am I here? What do I care about? If you can do that earlier in life, you'll just coast through this part where it gets a little bit more difficult because, we've been told we matter less because of how we look or how sexual we are or any of those things. And I think that comes into play so much when you turn 50 that you start to care again what other people think, even when I didn't. So I think I had like a resurgence of that almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I got a question for you from Krista. I think it's my dear, dear, delightful friend, Krista. How do you think about forgiveness? Is it important to you? Do you have any wisdom about forgiveness in your 50s that might be different from when you were younger?
Forgiveness is an easy one for me because I have felt that I forgive everybody way too soon.
Damn.
Way too fast. Not when I was in high school. High school was a tough time of forgiveness, like boys that treated you poorly, girls that treated you poorly, anybody that treated you poorly. I was like written off, done. But I think it's because I know that forgiveness, if you hold on to that will make you sick. That will stop you from growing. Forgiveness I've always seen forgiveness as a way to move forward. That if you can just look at that person and say, this is what happened. This is a moment that I cannot go back and redo. I'm already past it. I have to forgive. You almost forgive yourself first before you forgive the person that did something bad. You forgive yourself because we always make it about us when somebody else did something bad to us. It's like, what did I do to deserve that? Why did that happen to me? And instead, you forgive yourself about putting all of that on you, right? And it gives the power back to you when you let people just go and you just move on. Again, this is a broad topic because forgiveness is so wide in what you are forgiving someone for. Correct?
It's true. You can forgive the moment and not the person also. Yep. I say forgiveness is a gift and I don't buy presents for people who hurt me. So I might forgive the moment that happened and just forget about the situation that happened. But I am pretty hard. I cut you out. I also cut out friends that have hurt other friends. Like if you hurt my friend Constance, I might never talk to you again, even though she is. And then I might get mad at her for talking to you. Like that's how hard a grudge I hold.
I just think grudges don't help you grow.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't mind.
I mean, not a constant, like continual grudge, but just like that person's staying in that category and I'm cool with that. I don't need to, but I know it's very controversial. People don't like that I don't forgive some people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind like also just never talking to a person again. It doesn't mean that
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I forgive them or don't forgive them. I just would like to forget them.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay, hold on. I want to ask you another question because there's another one in here that I think is really great. Also, thank you everyone for sending in your questions because we're here for you.
Without you.
We're here for you. Okay. Oh, this is the one we wanted to talk about. From Stephanie Lang _86. I turned 40 this year. What were the pivotal things you did in your 40s to make turning 50 a happy, successful place in your lives?
Well, I quit drinking at 40, so that should have made my 50s more happy and successful. But I was honestly very busy cleaning up the mess of those first 40 years so that by the time I hit 50, I was almost normal, but then menopause hit and I didn't know it, so I was a mess again. I would say 40 to 60 was real challenging for me. And I don't know that I did anything to alter how I would feel in my 50, because remember, when I turned 50 was very different from when women are turning 50 now. It was a very bad thing to be 50. It was very old. There's that word again. And in a bad way, old. And I was being put out to pasture. So I think I would be different now. And I think if I was in my 40s now, I would be talking about all the great things I can't wait to do when I'm 50, like love myself, be happy about where I am, choose better friends, make boundaries. These are all things you should do in your 40s.
Yeah.
Should not worry about the fact that you're not married or don't have kids or didn't buy a house yet. You should not worry about the things that are on the list that the patriarchy made up, and worry about hitting the things on the list that you care about.
Yeah. I feel like we are changing the conversations around 50. So for those women that are in their 30s and their 40s right now, it is going to be already naturally easier for you to go into your 50s because we are talking about it. We're having the conversations. Menopause is everywhere. Medication is everywhere. Hormones are everywhere. Well, if they're not out of
It's
stock.
okay not to get married now.
Yeah,
It's
there's
okay
so
not
much
to have
more.
kids now.
Exactly. So I think you're welcome in the sense that we've already made it easier for the next generations to get here and it not be a number that you're terrified about. And it's not the gravestones and the black balloons and you're over the hill. It's actually like you've gotten to the top of the mountain and now you get to fucking scream and be excited about how empowering that feels to be there and what a fucking privilege it is to be there. And that is the power that you have. I mean, my 40s were my greatest decade when everybody told me it was going to be the worst. So we also have to stop believing the monikers and the banners that people are putting over certain decades because it's all going to be different when you get there.
Bullshit, and it's all made up by the patriarchy.
Well, because my 50s are different than all of you in your 60s and 70s because you didn't have what we have. So I feel like it's different for everyone, but damn, when you get here, it's so exciting to be surprised at how
who
great
you are.
Yeah, just
because
how great it is.
you've never been allowed to just be who you are as a woman in this country.
Well, Europeans do it a lot better, but
I mean, it's really like, I think we need to celebrate all the things that we're told not to celebrate.
Like just living every day.
Yeah, just celebrate your life and stop worrying about what everybody says about everything you're doing. It's your life. I mean, it boggles my mind what we do to women in this country when they turn 50. It will never stop pissing me off until it stops happening, quite frankly. I would like to ask you one last question, Constance Zimmer. We've known each other for 5 years.
Only?
Yeah, I know. It feels like a lifetime. What do you think you've learned about me that you did not know before?
I think what I've learned about you that no one, I believe, knows except those of us that are in your orbit is how unbelievably you're going to cry.
I'm already crying.
How unbelievably kind and caring and giving you are, like every single minute of every single day. And that is such a rare trait, especially in someone who, I mean, you are giving to strangers every single day with your posts. You are giving to people who don't even know you these gifts of wisdom and advice because you care. So you can sit here and say, I don't give a fuck, I give less shits, I do all this stuff. But what I have learned about you is you do care. And it's because you care that you can stand with that confidence and that giving less fucks, because everything you're doing, you're kind of doing it for yourself.
Yes.
And in doing it for yourself, you are giving in such an authentic way that it continues to be very inspiring to watch and be around. And I'm so grateful for that.
Well, now I'm crying. I really just asked so that I could get a compliment because I was having a bad day. Thank you. That's so kind. I've never actually thought about it that way. I really haven't, because I am talking to myself every day, but it is a bit draining sometimes to do it for what feels like no reason. But yeah, I do it for you people. Thank you. That's very sweet and kind. And I will say what I've learned about you. 2 things, actually. I've learned Constance is one of the funniest people I've ever met, which I knew
Not on this podcast.
I knew she was funny, but besides being funny, she's really fucking goofy. Like so goofy in such a beautiful, childlike way. And what I love about that is so many people guard their humor because they don't want to be seen as cringy or goofy or silly or whatever. And I love that about her. And the other thing is, if I could do one thing in life, it would be to remove all of your stress because you suck so bad at handling it. And I was surprised by that because you don't seem like somebody who gets stressed out by things, but you internalize so much for all of the people that you love and take care of that it's not good for you. So I'll just leave that there. And now we're going to cry.
No.
And that is all the time we have. I want to tell you that we would not have this Constance. We would not have this podcast if Constance wasn't such a beautiful person who made so many beautiful friends in her life that are willing to come on here and talk to all of you. We have some incredible names coming up in this 2nd season, which is starting right after our 1st season, because we don't want to go away for too long. Do you want to tell the lovely people who some of our upcoming guests are?
No, I would like them to come back and hear it when we drop it.
Okay, cool. Well, there's a whole bunch more women coming your way. We're gonna
how's that for not people pleasing?
We're gonna keep. That's non-Heidi pleasing. I don't know. We're gonna keep talking 50 to you until you all understand how important this stage of your life is as a woman, how beautiful this part of your life is as a woman, and if you fret about it, you're going to miss all the good stuff. And there is, even if your pants are tighter, it's okay.
True that. I will say that what we are going to do this season is we are going to have some women who are not 50.
That's right.
So just, take that and do whatever you want with it. But we're going to mix it up a little bit here. Okay.
That's kind of it. That's all the time we have for now.
That's all the time we have for now.
Yes.
So
if you want more Talk 50 to Me, follow us on Instagram at Talk 50 to Me and subscribe to our email list to get Talk 50 to Me updates. I'm not sure there are any. And announcements. Have a question? DM us on IG or email us at talk50tomepod@gmail.com and like and share because sharing is caring. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
See you next Tuesday. Bye now.
Talk 50 to Me with Heidi Clements and Constance Zimmer is produced by Russ Lamoureux. Recording engineer, Aaliyah Walker. Editing by Zelene Hesse. Music by Matt Friedman. Production services provided by A4S Podcast Studios, a Talk 50 to Me LLC production distributed by the Forward Network.